Key Digital, the experts in digital audio visual and control systems.
Hello, welcome once again. Glad to have you with us today. And we're very excited to talk to you about our KDWP8 IP control keypad. Everything is controllable on the network these days. And the KDWP8 is a perfect product to control all of those devices via IP or to surround the WP8 and integrate it with control hardware from Key Digital. As you know, we've been doing our control system for many years called Compass Control. KDWP8 is not Compass Control though. So we're going to show you what it is, how to control devices, how to program it, and some common application examples that we really have down pat here at Key Digital for presentation spaces like conference rooms and classrooms. So here you see the KDWP8. You see the 8 buttons. Those buttons, they're ice cube style is what that's called. It's clear. There's insert inside with 175 icons. They're all in that style that you see there, that modern, like flat black print. They're clear. It's all perforated, very easy to separate those icons. A lot of thought process went into those icons, in fact. And we even include a PowerPoint and a PDF on the KDWP8 page if you need to create your own custom stickers. We even tell you the font sizes and everything so that your icons do not look out of place. Enough about the buttons. KDWP8 is programmed over a web UI. We'll show you more about that. It's PoE powered. So as I said, it's a network control keypad. And so when you look on the rear there, all you have is your network port. Isn't that easy? It gets its power from a PoE network or a PoE injector if needed. You don't have to run IR RS-232 wiring from the keypad location. If you need to control those devices, not to worry, Key Digital's got you covered. You could add a Key Digital master controller for IR, RS-232, or even relay control. We added a key combo. You could press and hold 2 of the 8 keys simultaneously for 3 seconds to lock and unlock the keypad. It has an open API so that you can send commands to the unit to have it then execute as though you were virtually pressing the button itself, which leads us to our virtual keypad. Very cool. Open up your web browser on just about any browser out there. So that means any device. And you can have a keypad that you can press from your phone, tablet, computer to control the room. And of course, that's password protected as well. KDWP8 is an 8-button keypad with 160 events possible. That means 10 per button state, because it could be a standard button with up to 10 events on it, or it could be a toggle button. So I could press it once, one set of commands happens. I press the same button again, another set of commands happens. And so it could be 20 per button, or even press and hold. So I press something, it will happen initially, and I hold, and another set of events can happen. And that's another way to get all the way up to 160 possible events. So here we see the KDWP8 controlling IP devices like a projector with IP control, PJ Link, very popular commercial control protocol for projectors. Key Digital's presentation switches, which I will show you more applications on here shortly. Audio DSPs, lighting systems like we show our partner here, Lutron. All these devices are controlled over the network. KDWP8 can integrate all of those together. Now, we often find in the world of AV installation, though, that you sometimes need more than just IP. You need IR or RS-232, or maybe a voltage relay to drop a screen or shade. And that's why KDWP8 easily integrates with all of our control hardware, MC1000, CX800, even the AV over IP encoders and decoders from our 4K AV over IP products. That's the IP 1022, 922, and 822s. 1022, 922 have 3 ports, and the 822 has 2 ports. The MC1000 gives you the most bang for your buck with 6 multifunction ports, an RS-232 port, and a dedicated 3-pin relay. Now, a lot of times, AV integrators are looking for a way to install something, go into the job, install it, get it working, and be out quickly, right? Maximize, make your work very efficient. And so if you don't if you don't truly need to go on your network with the WP8, just use a PoE injector, and then you can control the devices through our master controllers as we show here. And now let's take a quick look at the programming. It's all done in a web UI. So you just type in the default IP address of the unit or the IP address that you've set to it. And you see here what the web page looks like. You know, there's plenty of things in there, and we do have a really in-depth manual, but let's take a look at the button settings. So each button, you could provide a name there. Why? Well, you know, it helps you to program it later. Number one, knowing this is the on button, that's the off button, but it also is useful for your virtual keypad. Remember, you could type in the IP address of this unit and just see the keypad there, and you'll see that button text there describing what it is. So you don't have to remember what button number does what. You could choose, is it a normal or toggle button? You could choose a red or blue LED. Those are the 2 colors we have. You could choose to have an event when you hold, like for example, if you want to, for power on, you press, it sends power on to the projector, the audio system, etc. But what about for power off? Maybe you want to make sure, hey, are you sure you want to power this projector down? Takes a minute to turn off and then another minute to boot up. If this was a mistake, you have to press and hold for up to 10 seconds. You could set that time yourself as the programmer. And the release event, meaning when I release a button, is something going to happen. Let's take a look at what IP commands look like. We see the event type there where IP command is selected, and we could even do the event name. We see it in the orange cell. It's really just for the programmer's reference, but once again, makes your life a little easier as a programmer. So we've chosen that it's an IP command. We support TCP or UDP type from the WP8. You enter the IP address of the device you're controlling and the IP port, and then is it a string or hex format? And you enter the data in there. The data is what the command looks like, right? So you have to refer to the owner's manual of the device you're controlling. And you see there that backslash lowercase r, that's a carriage return. You just manually type that in. Backslash n for line feed, for example, and then you could enter a delay after that command is sent before the next command sends, so that if you're controlling the same device, there's a little bit of spacing between each command send. How about an IR command? Event type, we've chosen here, IR, and we have to specify, is it IR going through a CX800 or one of our AV over IP, or is it an IR coming from an MC1000? Because there are different amount of ports that are possible. Now, even though it's on IR command, the IP is still communicating, the WP8 is still communicating over IP to that CX800 or IP922, and that's why we have to choose that is a TCP communication device. The data type, let's say in this example, we've just grabbed a Pronto Hex IR code, very common online to, if you don't have a IR code set for the device you're trying to control, you just search that device, make and model, and then add the words Pronto Hex, and you'll see a sheet like what we see on the left-hand side there. Copy and paste, and you could put it right into the command, or you could go into the Compass control library, which the IR, RS-232, and TCP IP managers are all available on the KDWP8 page as an individual download. So you don't have to download the entire Compass control software suite to get to have access to our hundreds of thousands of devices across IR, RS, and IP format. So here, same thing, when we chose Compass IR, it is a different format. RIR is proprietary, so you can copy and paste that burst data and into the data of the command in the web. And that's how you enter an IR from what we give you. Now, what about RS-232? Again, you'd want to reference the device you're controlling, right? And so here's a great product, the TOA 9000 M2 series product. And here's the example for turning channel 1 off. It's in hex format as we've chosen. It communicates at the baud rate of 57,600. We're controlling it from an MC1000. Now we see up to 6 ports plus the dedicated RS-232 port. And you could enter that data in there. And by the way, if you weren't sure, why in the owner's manual do I see 92H, 03H, but in the data on the right, we don't include that H? Well, if you were to hover over, mouse over that little question mark there, we tell you everything you need to know about the formatting, keeping it simple for you. Once all of your devices, your buttons are programmed, it's time to export that project. You could export the file. That's for ease of programming additional keypads and backing up on your local PC. Let's say you have a school project where you're installing 25 of these keypads, and let's say they're all cookie cutter systems. Wouldn't that be great? You could program once, save that file, and then load it to each keypad after that file is verified. Then it's time to load it to the keypad, which is done over the network. It's real fast, just a matter of a few seconds before it's done. And now you're ready to begin using the keypad, either by pushing the buttons itself, of course, or through the virtual keypad. Now here's the programmer view of the virtual keypad, accessed by typing or just using the navigating menu on the left-hand side where it says virtual keypad there. This gives you more information about, button 7 was pressed. Event number 1, the comment or the programmer name, because remember that was for us, the programmer, TV volume up, and it tells you all the information about the commands that are sent and if it was done successfully or not. And we even see down at the bottom beneath the keypad 9A, as it says, KDWP8001. That's the name of the keypad itself. So let's say you do have that school project of 25 rooms. You could call this class 1, classroom 2, classroom 3, etc. Here's the user keypad. It's accessed by typing in the IP address of the keypad /user.html, load it up and bookmark it in your phone. And again, it is password protected. So only the the authorized users are using that keypad. Nobody's going to have any, nobody's going to be playing any tricks on anyone, logging into that keypad and sending on and off commands, right? So let's move on to just some application examples of using the KDWP8 to control presentation systems, namely those with our presentation solutions product lineup. So here we see the PS42. If you're familiar with that, it's a presentation switch with 3 HDMI, and the fourth input is an HD-based T-in. We have wall plates for that, perfect for mounting at a podium, in a table, or on a wall, as the naming implies. Optionally, add our BYOD 4K as one of the 3 HDMI inputs, and now you can connect wirelessly as well. The WP8 isn't just going to select the source. What's cool about our presentation switchers is they have CEC display control. So you could send a command over IP to our unit, and that command will turn the display on via CEC, that's control over HDMI, without any IR or RS-232 wiring needed. Let's go on from that system where we have our UPS-52U. What does that give you give you? Well, as the name of this system implies, we see it at the top of the page here, it's a hybrid usage room. So it's for local presentations and also those presentations where you're including remote participants via Zoom or any video conferencing software. And that's all because of the USB connectivity. And we will return to those kind of the hybrid use systems in a moment, where you'll see our webcam integrated and everything. So here's a training room or lecture hall. Again, the PS42 with the wall plate, right? But perhaps you've used it before, perhaps you haven't. Our AMP 220. It's a 2-channel, 20 watt per channel amplifier. And it also can be used as a preamp because it has a pass-through port, which then can feed a larger amplifier if needed. So if we're here in a lecture hall, you certainly would go into a 70-volt audio system. It has a microphone input with a mix level. And again, the WP8 controls the AMP 220 via the presentation switcher. There are commands over IP that you send to the presentation switcher, all of our presentation switchers, as well as our Pro 2x1X, 4x1X, that then the commands are converted to RS-232. They are output, and they are then, the command is forwarded to the AMP 220 to control the volume or control the mix level. So you could have your volume plus and minus from the WP8, controlling a device that's not traditionally IP controllable. Same thing here with our UFS42. If those wall plates weren't necessary for you because you have local connectivity, this is the product for you. Plus it has a variety of connectivity types. The UPS 52U does, again, the same thing. Plus, one of the other benefits I didn't mention yet on the UPS 52U is that the HDBaseT inputs and outputs are all 100 meter, where those other products are 40 meter. Here we are, a complete integrated hybrid conference room or classroom, soft codec enabling system where the camera goes backward from the display in the conference room, and then whoever plugs in at the wall plate, they connect USB as well. And now that camera is connected into the laptop as the webcam for the room. So you could just crack open your laptop, just like we're doing here today, and host Zoom in a nice professional look of, get a nice professional look of the room with our KD Cam USB. It's 1080p, pan, tilt, and zoom, and those commands are all controllable via the WP8, just like the AMP 220 was in the system I mentioned before. So, I hope now you have a good idea of this product. It's actually just been a really fantastic one for us. I know you're going to like it, even if you're not an advanced level programmer, as long as you understand the commands going to devices and what you want to, you organize what you want on each button, you're good to go. For more information on this, we'd love to have you reach out. That's at sales@keydigital.com. Thanks for joining us today.